Hi you guys! Welcome to my studio. It is me, Gideon Slight, and I'm excited to share with you today about the earth element. This is episode 22 in my 52-week creative art journaling process. There's a lot of big words and I'm always scared I'm going to say it differently, so that's why I think twice before saying it. Welcome to this episode, and today we're going to be inspired by the element of earth. Now you can take this literally. You can literally go to your garden, dig up some earth, mix it with your paint and get some yummy earthy textures going. Or you can think about how the earth can inspire you in different ways. Maybe you like the mountains, maybe you like the ocean, maybe you find tectonic plates and lava and molten core of the earth fascinating. Sounds of the earth is interesting as well. So there is just so many ways that you can use the element of earth to inspire you to create in your art journal or in your studios on a canvas today. But without any further ado, if you stick around, I'm going to show you how I used the earth element to inspire my page in my art journal today. Everything from molten lava to tectonic plate movement, measurements and interesting symbolism. So without any further ado, give me a few seconds, I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you exactly how. This is so exciting. We're going to be playing with earth as our inspiration today, and I had to think hard and long because I didn't necessarily want to use the very obvious, mix some sand or earth into your paint, because we've done that before, right? So today I've got a number of papers here and I'm inspired because I want to create some collage elements that I can use in my art journal. And I'm going to be playing on some of these base papers that I already created some backgrounds on and see how I can further enhance them to talk about the element of earth. But I thought a very nice simple technique that I can show you guys that I like to use in order to make papers is to play with some of my acrylic inks. And I've got some black here, I've got some brown, which is this golden brown, and I've got the Antholo brown from Daler and Rawny. I've got some paints here from my stash and a variety of earthy tones from orange, grey, black to all the browns including gold. I think I must also pull all of my metallic paints because the metals are all in earth, and I've also got some burnt umber here and some white, some water. But for this particular technique, you're going to need some newsprint paper. You can get that at your art supply store, and that makes life a bit easier for this particular technique because the paper is very thin and absorbent, and because it's thin, it's a great collage element, and because it's absorbent, it makes this following technique a little bit easier. So now there is a variety of ways that you can do this, but I want you to sort of fold your newspaper into a little fan. And this might remind you of a craft technique that you did while you were at school, or you went to some kind of crafting art class. Just allow the inner child to come in and play, right? That's what this is all about. Now I am going to be doing a little bit of research on the earth element like I did with fire and air and water, and it's always great to look at any prompt and see how it can relate to your life in one or the other way, so that you can maybe just have a different perspective on what life brings for you. Then there's no right or wrong. This is almost going to be like a little bit of tie-dye. I'm just folding it up just so that I can expose these edges to the ink, and that's going to give me an interesting pattern that will develop here on my newsprint. Just want to move my drying table a little bit closer so that I don't have to get up. Right, so then I've just got a little meat tray here. I literally use these things because you know what, sometimes you want to contain paint in a container that's lightweight and that you don't mind throwing away at a later stage. So I've got my drawing ink here, and you can either dip it or you can drip it. I've dunked it before, so I'm gonna basically try to just allow the ink to drip on the one side here. And this technique is used in tie-dye as well, when they dye material. So the ink or the dyes only get to one side of it, or the exposed parts. It's sort of something we steal and borrow from the tie-dye kind of industry. And the ink is nice and absorbent. I mean, the paper is nice and absorbent. It's absorbing my ink. I want a variety on one paper, so I'm going to use the two different browns on this paper. Another reason why I like acrylic mediums is it can be messy, like most art supplies can be, but you know what, it's water soluble, so if you get your hands a bit dirty, you can just go and wash your hands. But you always have the option of putting gloves on, hey? If you've got a nice French manicure that you are scared is going to get stained or ruined, or you're going to get paint under your nails, or you might be allergic to products, I always recommend that you wear some gloves to, you know, protect your hands and protect your nails if you're going to work with your paints or your art supplies directly. And it's always a good idea, if you're concerned, you can wear gloves. Right, so you can see I sort of blotted all the ink on all the sides of my little parcel. And then when you're done, you can unfold your little parcel, because you don't want it to dry all folded up because it might stick together. And you want to see the pattern you created, right? Okay, so we are unfolding this little piece of newspaper, and there you have it. You've got a very interesting pattern, and you've got ink on both sides. And now you can just put this aside and let it dry, because believe me, this becomes very interesting collage elements that you can use on in your art journal. Right, I'm gonna in fact give it a mist with water to continue to encourage you know, those inks to flow. Let's fold this one in a bit of a different way. I'm thinking to start in the one corner and then just make your folds the same size so that all of the edges have an opportunity to touch the ink when you submerge it. So what does the earth element mean for you? What do you think it symbolizes, and how can you metaphorically use the earth as a theme for your life? I think the earth is a very nourishing, sustaining kind of element. It sustains life. It's not just the planet Earth, but also earth that grows our food, it provides building materials for us to build our cities and our homes. There is so many things that you can, you know, think about. And I want you to share with me in a comment, you know, what you think the earth could represent metaphorically to you as an artist and as a person in your life. And maybe just think about these elements in that way and how it can sort of open you up to think about life in a different way. That's pretty. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'll fold it again and again. So you see all these edges exposed. I think we can even go ahead and do it one more time, just for, you know, making it easier to hold on to. There we go. Right. So I think I'm going to give it a mist of water just to help improve the flow of the ink. And let's drip some Antelope Brown here on the top. And see where this goes. How would you sort of represent Earth in your art journal? Have you thought about it? Did you get inspired immediately? It's always fun to hear what the community thinks and how they are inspired. That's cool. Righty then. This is all about play and experimentation. So every week I come to you with the same attitude of, you know, just using what I have available around me, and I'm using the theme as my start off point. Many times I literally figure out what I'm going to do as I'm starting to record my session. I don't like to think too far ahead, because then I find I overthink things and I start to make it very complicated, because, you know, it can't be simple, right? I'm just getting my black ink out there. I'm just going to dip one of the sides in the black ink. That's also quite potent. And allowing the tissue paper or the newspaper just to soak things up a little bit. Add some drama. Okay. Now let's see what our little parcel gave us. It's always fun to see what patterns you created with the way that you folded the paper. Yay! I like the way that the black and the brown has sort of each found their own little line, because we only did the one side with black and the other side with brown. And there we have it. Some beautiful, interesting patterns. And I think I am going to just spritz it with my water bottle too, to encourage the flow of the ink onto this page. And I'm just going to put it aside here on my drying table next to my working table, and then it's out of the way. Right, so we've done one. Now let's see what we can do with this. I created these yellow pages also on the same kind of recycled paper that I've used before. This side I've done a layer of white acrylic paint, and this side I played with yellow marks. So I'm quite liking this. So let's see if we stain this page a little bit with some of the acrylic inks. Let's throw some of these browns on here. And I'm going to use just a bigger brush here just to move the ink a little bit. This is literally a home painting kind of brush. And you can see how the acrylic paint in the yellow is resisting the water because it's dried. So that could be nuggets of gold. It's all experimental. I'm going to drip some of the Antelope brown on here as well in areas. And I'm actually going to close it and just spread it that way and see what happens. Let's open it. Yes, I like the sort of stain kind of vibe. I'm going to put some of my black ink here in my palette on the side. And one of my other favorite brushes is the sauce basting brush that you can buy at any kitchen department. It's made of silicone. I just love the way you know, that it makes interesting marks. And I sort of just like, I'm sort of reminded this morning of, you know, some of the, what do you call it, striations or marks or lines that you find in rock, as you know, it was bent when it was still molten and in a liquid state like lava, and how the pressure of, you know, some of the tectonic plates have pushed against this hot stone and made interesting sort of flowing marks or lines that you can follow or see clearly in the rock. And you could see that it was like rolled up like this in an interesting way, and then, you know, when you see the rock or when you cut it open, there's these beautiful patterns that emerge out of that. Let's see what will happen if we add a bit of gold to this. I mean, really, what could go wrong, right? It could only not turn out, you know. That's what could go wrong. So, you know, we don't empower negative thoughts. Let me see. I'll just use one of my palette knives and just drag this gold over. Okay. I'm going to print this on top. Let it soak up some of the ink and paint that's wet. How's this for mono printing without using a plate? Just using one page on top of another and just allowing it to soak up this excess ink and paint. And I think, you know, now that I think about it, this recycled paper is like a little bit of a thicker newsprint paper. If you ever wondered what the texture of this paper feels like. Look how interesting that looks. Like even the previous exercise with somatic writing that I've got on there now suddenly looks more interesting. And look at the gold that it picked up. Oh, this is yummy. I'm just going to put this aside here to let it dry. I'm not raving about this page yet, but you know, sometimes it's a good idea to let things dry and then add another layer. So I'm going to move that one over there to dry, and then we'll come back to it. Let's look at this previously yellow ochre one. I'm going to use some raw umber. I'm just going to put it in random places. Let's add some gold. That's nice. Okay, let's add some of this burnt sienna. It looks very orange. That looks very earthy. Like the red rock there in Australia or even in Sedona. Never been there, but I've seen pictures. Right, so let's use our, what is this called? Palette knife. To just create some interesting patterns as I drag the blade over the paint very lightly, and I'm allowing it to skip a little bit over the page, and for the colors to sort of mix a little bit on the page without overworking it. That looks fabulous, right? That looks far more interesting than before. So again, just another example of the power of layers with acrylic paint. The more layers you add, the more interesting your page or your canvas or artwork will look. I think a lot of people want to make one brush mark with one color and then complete a painting, and then, you know, are disappointed because it looks flat. It looks two-dimensional. Sometimes you still see the canvas or the paper underneath, and you were expecting a rich, yummy kind of texture, almost like oil paint. But that only happens in acrylic paint when you add layers. Allow it to dry, add more layers until you are happy. This is a magical thing that came together because I already have a layer or two at the bottom, and now I've just added a bit more contrast, and I continued to play with the theme of earth in some kind of way. Using earthy colors and tones will always bring you success. So I'm going to put this aside to dry, and then when I come back, I'm going to open my journal and we are going to play with earth in our journals. I'll see you guys right now. Right, our pages are dry, and I wanted to show you what it looks like. I quite like the way the gold sort of smeared into this page, and those ink blots, I mean really, I just dabbed them onto the other side and it's fabulous. I don't think it's necessarily an earth kind of looking page, maybe for another day. This, on the other hand, I think is the piece de resistance. I think this is beautiful. It just speaks to me of earth tones, and that bit of gold in there just really glams things up. So I am definitely going to play with a little bit of this. Now, these ink pages are interesting, and what I thought of, this reminds me of those scientific devices that measures when there's tectonic activity for earthquakes, and sort of the pictures that they draw as they measure these vibrations in the earth. This is sort of what it reminds me of. So I'm definitely going to be using a strip of this as a reminder of, you know, that interesting kind of scientific, I don't know what graph machine you call that. I didn't think about doing research about earthquake machines before my class. This little scrap page in its simplicity really looks nice. I love the texture, I love the bit of script. So the bit of gold, the bit of black, I love it. I think it can add a little bit of texture and interest in the background. And then I have dug through my stash. I think one of my main elements that I'm going to use here was a little art piece that I created on watercolor paper for greeting cards. And when I looked at it, this sort of reminded me of the earth, the planet, and all of the layers of the earth mantle, and then you get to the blues up in the sky. So I think this is very symbolic of deep beneath the earth, the mantle, and you know, everything about the earth. So I think I'm going to be using a piece of this or all of it really as my main focus on my page today. And then a variety of earthy looking papers. I even found this in my National Geographic. Oh wait, I just saw something else at the bottom that I don't want to forget. These are symbols, alchemical symbols for metals and elements that you find in the earth. So I think that will also be very interesting just as a reference. And then I also found this in my National Geographic, and that is definitely talking about earth and you know, rivers and continents and all of that. So maybe a bit of a reminder of that and what our earth looked like a few hundred years ago. So between all of these beautiful little scraps of paper, collage elements and so forth, I think I definitely have enough to create a page in our journal. Right, as I begin to play on this page with all of the options that is around me, I am going to share with you a little bit about the earth element. And I just really typed into Google what is the meaning of earth element, and a whole sea of information came up for me to share with you guys. So this is where I found the information. The earth element is also nurturing and seeks to draw all things together with itself in order to bring harmony, rootedness, and stability. Other attributes of the earth element includes ambition, stubbornness, responsibility, and long-term planning. Its negative emotion is worry, and its positive emotion is happiness. Wow, that really is a lot of information to contemplate when we, just think of the art that is our lives, I really love the way that this is worded, that the earth element's negative emotion is worry and the positive emotion is happiness. Isn't it what we are all searching for? Isn't it what every living being wants to experience, is happiness, just to be happy, to be loved, to be accepted, not to worry? And everything that is on the earth is provided for us, so really abundance is the word I'm looking for. Prosperity is synonymous with earth. So it's really sad for me that our modern world is really set up in a way where you sometimes don't always have everything that you need, and there's a lot of people that is suffering and that is worrying. But worry is one of the things that rob you of your joy, and it can make you ill. So let's try to focus on the positives and see how we can maybe make someone else happy. When you make other people happy, in a way, happiness finds you. It's when you try to hold on to your own happiness and you are constantly looking for, to be fulfilled in a happy way, that sometimes we get disappointed and life hurts us, and that can be difficult to overcome. So happiness is like sunlight. You can't take hold of it in your hands. It's just something that you can enjoy. So one of the stoic ways for me to look at happiness is to try and make other people around me happy and see how that fulfills me. And this is part of my joy as a creatively fit coach and doing this work on YouTube and on social media. It is all about forgetting about my own needs for a second, and in a way leaving a legacy behind, leaving something behind that could maybe inspire somebody, activate somebody else's creative heart, and get them going in their creative practice, because that's a sure step towards happiness. Let's also see what it says here. What does the earth element symbolize? The earth symbol is one of 5 basic elements in alchemy, along with fire, air, water, and the spirit. Earth represents groundedness, stability, potential, and stillness. And all of these words can also be used as inspiration in our art. Groundedness, that is how beautiful. Stability, potential, and stillness. That's absolutely beautiful. Wow, let's look at another one while I play on my page. What is the earth element good for? Earth in Feng Shui is the earth element represents health, knowledge, and stability. It is also strongly associated with familial and romantic relationships. Using earthly materials, colors, and images in your home can help channel positive chi around those values. The symbol for earth, or the old symbol for earth, is a circle with a dot in it. and it can also be represented by a square. And I'm going to use some square shapes in my collage today to remind me of the stability of the square and also the earth. And I'm also going to be using some rounded symbols here because that reminds me of the circle. The earth is round, it's a sphere, and we are living on it, and it's the center of our universe for us, because this is from this point that we look out into life and into the universe, and we ask the big questions about our lives. Why am I here? What am I doing here? What is my purpose? And how can I fulfill it? That is really beautiful. So, what kind of person is an earth element? The earth type of personality are methodical, reliable, loyal, practical, hardworking, structured, patient, strategic, careful, often rule bound, and rely quite heavily on set routines and rhythms. That is absolutely beautiful. I'm married to a Taurus, my husband is an earth sign, and all of these words definitely describe him. And me being an air sign, it is said an air sign must marry an earth sign because they ground us and pin us down. So my husband really grounds me and provides me with that structured routine and just beautiful, methodical, patient, strategic, kind of working helps me to think things through when I tend to want to run away with my mind and think of everything else that could possibly go wrong or right? Let's see, there's one more question here that I think is interesting. Is the earth element powerful? Let's see what Google says. The power of earth is a fairly strong element, but out of the 5, as it can completely cave in areas and destroy the land around the guardian who uses it. However, unlike other guardians, a guardian of earth can only manipulate her element, not manifest it. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what else is here. What is the spiritual meaning for earth? Earth is commonly seen as feminine, the great mother, nourishment, fertility, infinite creativity, yes, and or longevity. When juxtaposed with heaven, earth represents matter, while heaven stands for spirit. It's absolutely beautiful. Sometimes just to get down to the basic understanding of what a word can mean. And all of these beautiful words can then further, motivate us and inspire us to create. Which element of earth is the most powerful? The most powerful element of all is water, but it can also be fire. It is said that fire embodies the strongest source of power and the most energy. It is also the most highly prized element of the mystics. They consider this to be the ultimate element of the 4 elements because fire is also the embodiment of the gods, the sun and light. That is just so beautiful. Okay, so I think that is a lot of inspiration for us to contemplate. And, I just want you to be inspired by the earth and ground yourself. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to create with this week's prompt of earth. So do take a photograph and share it with me on the Creative Heart on Facebook, and I will see you guys soon for the wrap up of this page. Thanks for watching. And there we have it. Let the element of earth inspire a page in your art journal. And that is exactly what I did today. This is so much fun playing with the earth element, using colors of the earth, textures of the earth, and all of the ideas that inspire the earth. I even looked at molten lava and tectonic plates and earthquake kind of measurements in these markings that I made today for my art journal. So I am eager to see what you are going to create with today's prompt in your art journal. Remember to take a photograph and share it with us on the Creative Heart. And if you're new here, please, if you've watched this far, hit the subscribe button and the like button and tell me how you are going to be inspired by Earth in your journal in a comment. I love to chat with you and get to know you a bit better. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, and I'll see you guys again next week when we use another element to inspire a page in our journal. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.